All right, so today we got a really cool episode. We're going to talk about how to select a digital agency. One of the things that continually comes to our shop, as you might want to call it, other digital agencies looking for us to help them make decisions on their projects. And a lot of the things that we see in the market are based off of just the things that you need to kind of consider. So we're going to go through that today. Some really good things. Top 3 things. And what we're going to figure out is really who, from an experience level, you should think about hiring. And then 2, what are their numbers? And then really looking at what does that team look like? And then, are they really into it? Are they committed? So let's get into the episode. Thanks again for watching the CustomerBloom episodes. It's been really cool to get the feedback, and I'm glad you like the playing too. At least it's something different, right? Okay, so let's get back into the 3 things you need to consider when looking at to properly select a digital agency for your company or your practice or your environment that you're trying to support. Whether it's, again, a sales funnel strategy, we circle around that as really the center of excellence that we do through our profit engines model. But this is really just to think through if you're someone who's considering, taking the next step forward, or if you're considering maybe you should do it in-house, or you should maybe train somebody. There's some variations of a theme here, but we've got some really good indication of what we see are critical elements, and I'm going to go through them, the top 3. So just hang with me here. The number one thing, without a doubt, is experience, right? So we know that really, it's tough to kind of measure experience in years versus activity, because someone could be really experienced for many years but not have done a lot of activity. And I think that's where the counterbalance is, right? So I've been in business for a long time. I've been working on stuff for, since I was in my 20s, so that's a long time to be in business. So I have a lot of business experience, but do I have Facebook ad experience and bid experience and all the millions of little pieces within that framework? No, but my team does, right? So I can help with copy and business strategy, and then you got a team behind who's actually been trained and certified. So when you're speaking with someone or an agency or an independent consultant, you have to ask these questions about what their experience is. So in our case, we really see price equals value, right? So, 9 times out of 10, what you're looking at is, there's a variation between the theme of multi-levels within an organization. And we're going to get into that in the second part. But really, there has to be sort of a team surrounding this process. Because if they're doing everything, if someone in the agency is doing everything, it's like you can't get that 10,000-foot view down on the business. And that's really the key. So there's a couple of good components in there. Again, mechanically wise, if someone's in the guts of the operation, doing A/B testing and bidding strategies and all the things you need to do in Facebook and Google and YouTube ads and whatever, those all mechanical pieces are important. But at the end of the day, someone has to help you with an experienced situation. That's where we kind of come in with helping clients make those decisions. And sometimes they're not in the right ballpark, meaning that they're not expecting to pay X amount of dollars for someone to run their ad strategy, because they're maybe in their business core, they're just not at that element where they could probably go and train somebody up or hire somebody if they wanted to over a period of time, and they're not looking for someone necessarily super experienced. It's not really their spot. But mature companies or people who are really a little bit further down the path, they know the value of the price versus value equation, right? So as I mentioned before, there's that multi-level or multi-team, I guess you could say, environment where there's more than one person looking at the ad. So in our shop, none of the ads go out unless I look at the copy, because I know, to me, the biggest factor is the headline right, is the copy straight, is the offer matching. So I always QA ads before they go out for all of our clients because I want to see them to make sure that they're performing. From a mechanic standpoint, I let my team work through the mechanics because they've been trained and certified on getting all the mechanic parts fixed. So let's talk about the second thing in this little piece, which is the different environments. Now, I think, and I can guarantee you this is important, you have to have someone who's got a lot of experience in all different parts. And I'm saying not just like a niche, I mean like different types of marketing, like e-commerce and information products and services and products. This, like having a nice, well-rounded, well-edged experience. And that's where I think becomes a big playing difference because you see all sorts of environments and you get to learn from all different things. So that's a big piece of it. So an agency who's had lots of experience in different environments, not just one environment, like one niche and one specific service, because it becomes very, very, curtailed off to what the experience levels are. And that really leads to the next one, which is niche aware. And that is one of those things where you can make a decision on working with an agency who's in a specific quadrant. So if you're an automotive person, or if you're a medical person, or if you could say, oh, that's the perfect guy because they're just in my niche, whether it's a specific product, service, or information product. But I don't think that's a real determining factor because at the end of the day, once someone gets it and they understand it, they can really sort of move on a dime and understand how to build ads and do structure. So I'm not as you have to be in this niche and you have to know this thing to 1 to 100 because at the end of the day, I think it should just be niche aware, meaning they should know the topic and be very well. So I always think that there's like you get to 80% and the rest of the 20% is really kind of figuring out the strategy from a customer perspective on what their little nodalities are and how they work as a company. And not so much sort of super duper niche focused, but definitely niche aware. Now the second thing is, and I think this is where the rubber meets the road, where most of our clients want to know is, what are the numbers, right? What are the numbers? Most important thing, right? So experience counts, but what are your numbers? So this is the case studies and the testimonial, the whole sort of process. But I had a customer say to me one time, I don't care about you guys being your experience and all this stuff. What I want to know is can of beans. So anybody can go to a store and buy a can of beans off the shelf, but I want them picking the can on the end aisle that they never saw before that they would pick up because you guys did the advertising. So think of it that way. It's cold traffic, right? So anybody can get warm traffic to convert to leads because they already know you. So it's basically referrals, right? But if you can take cold traffic from Facebook, from Google, from YouTube, from LinkedIn, all the funnels that we work in, those cold people, those people have never known your brand. How can you get cold traffic to convert? And I think that's the number one thing that we kind of work with. Now, obviously warm traffic is good and that's part of the funnel, but really getting the top of the funnel built is critically important. So really you want to think about, in this case with cold traffic, what is the plan, right? What plan? What are you going to do? So that would be my first thing. And what is it going to cost me, right? And what is my cost per acquisition? Okay. So this is going to be what is the cost per acquisition of that cold traffic, right? And there should be some idea of generalities of what from case studies and some ideas to get an idea of what it will cost to bring someone through the funnel. The second thing is, how are you going to improve it? So again, how are you going to improve that cost per acquisition? So again, in our case, every week we go through our sales funnels and we tune our funnels to get the cost per acquisition down for each individual ad set and ad buy. So if we're looking at Facebook or Google or YouTube or LinkedIn, whatever it might be, we're looking through, did this ad copy perform? This traffic that's coming through from the top end of the funnel being cold traffic, are we getting a better buy for our ad spend? So those would be the things I would ask about, what are the things they're going to concentrate from a number perspective, not clicks and impressions and all the things, but obviously, important would be, phone calls and, this is a reporting stuff, but phone calls and form fills and emails and I think those are all part of like post reporting, but really looking at taking cold traffic and turning it into new leads, right? So stuff that's never been touched before. Number 3, and this is the last one, which is, what does a team look like? And I mentioned that, from the beginning, which is, I really look at, when we talk about agency stuff, about the team. So you got a head guy like myself who is really into copy and making sure that when things go out, our offer and our copy matches, and the mechanics are done by my team, because if I spend all the time on just doing mechanics, I don't have the bandwidth to really spend time on looking at copy and going, yeah, that's going to work or that's not going to work. And then we have an account management that oversees the entire process to make sure that the client, so really in our case, we have a team of 3 around each project so that we can make sure stuff's done. And you should be asking your agency, like, who are the people that are going to do this? And can I speak with them on their experience in this space? That really that's the process mapping, where I think, again, that's the process where you look at, again, process mapping, which is how's the articulation flow of the ways that people are doing things within the company. It goes from point A, where there's an ad built, to point B, where the mechanics of bidding and the A/B testing is set up, and the funnel and the landing page, and then you've got someone on top looking at the whole process to make sure that the engagement is going to be working right for a client. I think that's a really important thing. And really, I look at not just the process from our side, from an agency, but you should be asking, how much are you going to be involved? How much input? Because that's one of the big things, is that you obviously just don't want to throw the ball over the fence and hope and pray. You want to actually be part of the discussions. And I know some of the times when we work with clients, they just say, hey, you're the expert, you deal with it. But I think that's not the right way to go through it. You do want to have some input, and you do want to be part of the team. So ask how much you're going to be involved. And obviously, it doesn't need to be a whole hell of a lot, but at least it should be something where you're engaged in the process to sort of think through and start an engagement. And usually over time, agencies usually get it. And that's the key, is to start and be involved in the very beginning for a little bit and help the process flow better. The last thing, just sort of like a bonus on top of all these 3 things, are they really committed? Do they really care about the niche? Do they even know about it? Like the basic stuff, like just gut check yourself and say, are you really interested in this project? Are you, is this something you kind of like? Which is always a bonus. Anyways, so I hope this helps how to properly select a digital agency, and we'll see you in the next episode. All right, if you're looking for some help with your own project, or if you want to just get in contact with us and discuss some of the opportunities that we have to work together with your company or your firm or your practice or whatever you might have in mind, please go to the CustomerBloom.com/start page. You can have a personalized meeting with me. I'll be certainly happy to go through your project, and we can discuss the merits of working together. Again, CustomerBloom.com/start, and have your own personal 20-minute session with me.